Hello, welcome to another episode of SFA, Sacred Femme Alchemy podcast. Super excited to be here. And this is just going to be a really short, quick one. I came down with a cold. I was hanging out with my nephew over the weekend. It was Fleet Week in SF. I watched the show twice. I love Fleet Week. I watched it on Friday. Saturday, it got canceled because of the fog rolling in. Carl just graced us with his presence again. And then on Sunday with my family in the tunnel top. So it was just super fun. My friends came. So it was really nice to have this little mini reunion. But today, super short, just wanted to pop on here and I want to specifically talk about EFT. If you've been following me on my YouTube, I posted a EFT tapping video just to share with you guys. I wanted to focus specifically on self-love for EFT. And in my Telegram group, in my free Telegram group, I will link the group in the show notes of this episode. But what we were really focusing on, what I really wanted to focus on was manifestation. I've been listening to a lot of audio interviews with different business owners, and the ones that really attract me the most are the ones that use spirituality, but also logistics strategies. So they marry the two. For me, it's that perfect combination of right brain, left brain, having that balance. And that's the way that I choose to live my life. If someone's just very strategic and there is no spiritual foundation involved in it, that just does not attract me. A lot of the people that do attract me do a lot of mindset work. And this woman in particular, the woman who was the founder of Spanx, she did a lot of visualization. And that prompted me to be on like, okay, I have all these tools and I'm using to really help bust through the blocks of really getting into the desires and the manifestations of what you want. And so I want to see if it works. And so essentially what it was just a test. I wanted to do it in a collective because I know when you have a sadhana, which is a daily spiritual practice, if you do it and practice in a collective, you work on the collective consciousness versus your individual consciousness. It's not to say that you doing your individual sadhana practice doesn't reap or have the same benefits. You doing sadhana, no matter what, your daily devotion, your commitment to it will always work regardless, right? And if you don't know, 40 days is a typical length and duration of a sadhana. So 40 days is the perfect time for you to change an old habit. And 90-day sadhanas is an opportunity for you to create a new habit. And 120 days is an opportunity for you to lock it into your subconscious, that new habit. And if you do 1,000 days, which is close to 3 years, that is 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. That is an opportunity to master that new habit. And so I always like to do 40 days. It allows me to do any type of Kriya or meditation, understand the benefits, understand the results, really make small movements and build momentum on the things that I want to achieve in my life. And I kid you not, it just always works. And I talk about it all the time, how even my partner will say that any single Kriya that you do, they just always work. I've been manifesting like crazy. I'm actually pretty surprised at the technique. And so when I think about this, all of it to me works in a trifecta. Like you put the vision out, you're in your sadhana practice, you're doing this Kundalini Yoga Kriya, and you're working on the energetic self. You're really working on the awareness. And so what happens is yoga is a science for different angles, right? And positions and mudras. And so it's this mysticism where you're realizing, does this actually work? Does it? But with Kundalini Yoga, when you're doing certain exercises, it works on your mind. It's also known as the yoga awareness. And then also it works on your nervous system. It helps recalibrate your nervous system. That's why you're holding poses for a really long time. Sometimes you might be really pissed off at a teacher and just, oh, I don't like the teacher. But what it does, it helps keep you more aware of your thoughts and feelings so that you're no longer reacting to it. And so as you're doing all of this work, what happens is during the manifestation, thoughts start to creep in. Am I worthy of actually getting it? So it's like, what do you do when the miracle happens? And sometimes people will self-sabotage. And this is the prime moment that kind of sets you up for EFT tapping. And EFT tapping allows you also to work on your nervous system because it helps work with tapping on different meridian points on your body that tells and sends a signal to your amygdala to let it know, hey, it's actually okay. You can go through this thought process and not feel anxiety. And so when I'm working with clients, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's in a group, we will often think about, okay, what is the number that we feel right now? So for example, I'm going to get super granular. Say it's like being in a new relationship. Oh my gosh, some people say that scares the hell out of me. I don't want to do it. And so maybe their numbers at a 10, like 1 to 10. And then what happens is through different rounds, you'll start to uncover layer by layer. You'll get into the feeling a lot. You'll allow yourself to go there because you're no longer bypassing. You're no longer able to say, okay, I don't want this feeling anymore. But you're able to sit into this emotion and understand, okay, I can hold it. I can create a safe container for myself. I can create sacred space for myself to actually go through this and go down the rabbit hole of what's the worst that can happen. And so you go through all of these emotions. And so once you just, it's like going through your closet and taking out all of the things that you don't like. That's exactly what EFT is. Totally hit the mic, so it's probably going to hear it. But anyway, and so you're clearing out your mind, you're clearing out the subconscious thoughts, and a lot of emotions will happen. Like I've seen it where I'm in one-on-ones and people will have a certain look on their face and I'll ask them like, what's coming up for you right now? What's the feeling and what's the emotion and what's the thought that just came to your head in this moment where you had to stop? And they catch themselves and all of a sudden their higher self comes in and nurtures them and says, oh, it reaches for a positive thought afterwards. And so what you see this conversation between the negative mind, the positive mind, and then towards the end, you get to this place of neutrality. And that number that you started with that happened to be a 10 starts to decrease. Sometimes I'm not saying there are some situations where it can be one session and boom, we fixed it. But then other times you might need more sessions depending on how challenging the situation is or how embedded your thought system and belief system is. Sometimes it comes from younger age trauma that you're also going to work in tandem with your therapist. I love working with clients who also have therapists because I'm not a therapist, and it allows you to think, okay, now that I've uncovered this memory, I can talk about it with my therapist. But here in this moment with Lisa, I'm going to go work on my limiting beliefs and my thoughts, and we're going to go through it and we're going to do the EFT tapping. So a lot of emotions do come up depending on what you're tapping on, and that is totally normal. And sometimes you will yawn. I used to take it as, I used to be so offended by it, but then I realized it's actually your nervous system sending me a signal that you're calm about it, right? You're calm about the thing that you want to tap on that was triggering you before. And so we just look at any of those triggers. The thing that I love is that every single month I am doing a monthly group tapping on it. And I did it in the past, and a lot of people really loved it. They wanted it to come back. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it in a group setting. I want to work with it and us together. I think it's so important for the collective. And usually it's just a general tapping. When we really get into the deep work, we do it one-on-one because it's specific to you and whatever trigger is coming up based on your unique experiences and specific thoughts that you have. And so it's an opportunity for people to just get a taste of it if they want to work with it in an actual group type of setting. And because this month we're all about manifestation and really understanding, now that we're on day 15 of it, we're learning different manifestation techniques along with doing this consistent Kundalini Yoga Kriya every single day, and we're doing it in a collective. We are also seeing the thoughts that come up that say, hey, we're not worthy of it, or hey, we want to hide and run, or hey, okay, great, I call that thing, but how can I show up for it? There's still these blocks that are there, and it's normal. It's not to say that you do Kundalini Yoga and you're not going to have any, and all of a sudden you're going to be fine and you're able to do these things. That's only one component of your spiritual journey and your spiritual path, and that part of that like whole spiritual school that you're in. And so once you're able to uncover and work on your energy when you're in Kundalini Yoga, and then you start to work with a mind where you realize, okay, there's still these thoughts coming up. And that's where EFT comes in. That's where EFT comes in to actually look at those thoughts and really focus on what is that thing? What are the belief systems? What's like that stanza in that song? What is that refrain in that song that I keep singing to myself? And I really want to just let this go, but it keeps coming up. And so this is a perfect opportunity to let you come into a group and work on it together. And so tomorrow we're going to really work on what are those limiting beliefs that are preventing us from really stepping into taking aligned action with the things that we're calling for. So an example, again, like when I use the whole vulnerability in relationships, it could be I'm scared of the person understanding and really knowing who I am. Or I'm going to have to play small in order for someone to like me. Or maybe I'm too much for someone to want to be with me because I was told I was too much when I was little. Or guys don't like girls that are super smart. Or guys don't like girls that are super independent. Or I have to hide a part of who I am because they're not going to fully like all of me, or I'm way too old to be in a relationship now, and who's going to want me? Like all of those things, right? All of those things. It's like giving airtime to our fear, but then allowing our inner mother to come in and tell us that those things aren't true. And it's not me feeding you that. You will start to notice that shift when you are in that experience of when you have that thought and you're tapping on your meridian points and you're like, dude, no. I actually don't think that. And so that's when it really starts to change. It starts to turn around, start to shift in the energy. And I've seen it with so many people and it's so potent. And that's why I'm offering it. So I will share in the link in the show notes exactly what to do, how to sign up, get in community, and let's tap together. And if you want to learn more, hit up my YouTube. It's in a separate playlist for EFT tapping. I am going to be uploading different tapping scripts, but I just wanted to pop it on in here because tapping's my jam, right? I got certified in it. Granted, it was a really long certification, did hundreds and hundreds of hours, almost close to 1,000 hours of tapping. And there's nothing that I see the potency of tapping and Kundalini together that creates so many shifts and transformation at an accelerated level. And that's what I'm really starting to find. Like I told you, I recently did a shift in my business where I was like, what am I being called to do? What do I care about? I'm tired of, and granted, I fell into this trap of like only focusing on strategy, doing what other people did, because what happens is they sell you on the programs that work for them and the strategy and tactics that work for them. And ultimately, I was like, okay, I need to listen to me. I need to go back to my true self. I'm not dumb. I have picked up so much noise from the outside world. Now I get to sift and filter out what makes sense to me, my own unique way, my own unique voice, the way that I am according to my own blueprint, right? And so it's really about learning to trust yourself, because the more that you give power to other people outside of you, the more that you're just going to keep on buying programs, the more that you're just going to keep on trying to seek outside of you rather than going inwards. And that is the beauty of Kundalini, is that when I really stepped into my practice, that's when I noticed things just weren't aligning. Things just felt wrong. But I thought that if I paid someone to help me and I followed things that they told me to do, that it would be this cookie cutter recipe that would get me the same results. I thought it would be like a cookie recipe, and it wasn't. And it wasn't. And the thing that really changed the way that I'm feeling, the way that I'm projecting, is by truly listening to myself and getting connected to my heart. But in order to get to your heart, you have to get not rid, but you have to start releasing and noticing and becoming aware of what are those fearful, judgmental based thoughts. And the perfect way to do that is through EFT and Kundalini. Anyways, there are many ways to get connected with me. There are different offerings that I have. I shared it recently on my Instagram, but there's one-on-one coaching. There is EFT sessions. So you can do a one-off session. You can do a 5-session package. There's also the EFT tapping circles, which is happening tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Would love for you to join. And there's also my free Telegram group. And then, where we do different sadhanas, we practice on a certain kriya. And then there's also the different local events that I'm doing. So I'm doing a bunch of keynote speaking events. I'm doing events with different collaborations, partnerships with nonprofits, other organizations. So just follow me in my newsletter, follow me on social, listen to this podcast, and stay connected with all the different things that I'm doing, because I think it's so important for you to feel good, for you to unleash that wild, authentic self and just really overcome any emotional blocks that you have, and using these tools, because they can seriously change your life. Anyways, would love to see you. Can't wait. And I hope you're having a beautiful Tuesday. Bye all.